Hey everyone, and welcome to another edition of TJ Plays with some AI stuff. This will be another Figma Console MCP demo. One of the things I've been being asked a lot is, how does this work with Codex? So I thought I would show you just the whole setup from beginning to end on how you get this set up with Codex, because it is slightly different. And at the end of this video, I'm going to add documentation specific for Codex to the documentation, so that way anyone playing with Codex will be able to get set up and working within a couple of minutes. So I'll start you from the beginning. This is how anyone can get set up. I'll start with the repository. You can go here. I'll put it in the post. You can go to this code, download the zip file here. This will download it there. I'm going to double click on this. That's going to put it in my Finder window. It's adding it in my downloads folder. That's fine. You could drag this anywhere in any directory that you prefer to have, maybe your documents directory or a sites directory. I am going to go now over to my Figma account, and it's in this little home directory. I'm going to go to my profile area, go to my settings area here. I'm going to go to my security tab. Down here, you'll see this area where it says personal access tokens. So I'm going to generate a new one. I'm going to call it Figma Console. And then I'm going to just make the max expiration here. I'm going to check all of these just because there's only certain ones that you need, but I'm not going to go into which ones you need and which ones you don't need right now. Just for safekeeping, I will check them all. You don't have to. There's a part in the documentation that tells exactly which ones you need, but just for now, I'll just click them all. So here's your personal access token. I'm going to delete this after this video, so I'm going to put that somewhere for safekeeping. Remember that. You'll need it. All right. So now I want to go to this is the setup section. So this is the setup guide. So I just clicked it and I'm scrolling down to the setup that what you would normally do for things like Cursor or Claude Desktop. So this is the JSON config for what a setup might look like. In Codex, the setup is a little different because it has this kind of graphical user interface. So in Codex, I'm going to go down here to settings. I'm going to go to settings again, and then I'm going to go to the MCP servers section, and then I am going to create a new server. I'm going to call it Figma Console. And then if you could look at these, they kind of match up correctly. So the command that we want, so you're gonna want to be in the studio, not the streamable HTTP. You can swap back and forth through here. This is for like remote connections, and this one is for connections like the kind that we're going to do right now, which is more of a local connection. So the command that we want is npx. So I'm going to scoot that over too, and then we want this yes as an argument. So I'm going to put that in there, and then another argument that we want is the node package call. So we put that in there too. And then environment variables. So here's the Figma access token that we just created. I'm going to put that in as a key, and then I'm going to grab the one that I just created and then pop that in there. And then I'm going to enable MCP apps. If you don't know what MCP apps are, it's a way for a response from the AI to use a tool within the MCP to give you a graphical representation of what your response might be. There's a couple of MCP apps built into the Figma Console MCP. You can go here in the documentation, and it'll tell you more about that. But for as far as setup, that's really it. So I'm going to go ahead and save this piece. So we should be all set. I'm going to go back here, and then I'll start a new thread. And then, so what we haven't done yet is hooked up the Figma Console bridge. So I'm going to start a new project. Actually, I have one up here. So here's just a design system that I pulled from the community. And I want to just say, what is it if I just say, can you use the Figma Console MCP to give me a status, please, on Figma? So I don't have anything hooked up with the desktop bridge yet. So hopefully it just recognizes that the console MCP has been set up, but then it'll give me an error message saying that it hasn't been set up. So now I'm going to go ahead and set it up. So I'm going to go over here, I'm going to go to plugins, I'm going to go to development, and then import plugin from manifest. I'll find where my desktop bridge was that I downloaded. You can go into, so I have a second one in my sites directory. So the Figma Console MCP is the zip file that we downloaded, and then inside that you'll see Figma Desktop Bridge. I want this manifest.json file. So I'm going to open up that, and then I'm going to double click it. And then here it is, MCP ready. So that's great. I'm going to go back here, and then I'm going to say, okay, I've just enabled it. Can you try again? So it's going to run that status check, and then there it is. So this is the tip-tap design system. It's saying, great. It's saying the current page is button. I'm going to ask it, can you tell me what component set I'm currently focused on? So if you look here, I'm focused on the primary button component set. And then it does a little search. It says, let's see, nothing's looking. Oh, but that's not true then. Let me reselect it. Can you try again? It seemed to grab the current page, but I think I might not. I needed to actively do something. Yeah, so there we go. So primary component set, and then I could say something like, all right, let's interact with it. Can you please leave a comment on the button component set with a haiku about design system buttons? So this is just me confirming that I can write back to it. Oh, and you saw my little head pop up over here. Here's what it says, but if I can go over here and look at it, you'll see that it said, buttons guide the flow, one system, many clear paths, quiet clicks again. That's great. That's wonderful. And then so since we're also inside the code base already, because this is inside this like fictitious college town design system, I can say something like, I'm sorry, no, it's inside. I'm connected to this tip-tap design system, but I'm inside the directory of this college town design system. So I can navigate over here, and then I'll run the plugin. Run the plugin. So I'm going to go here and then run the desktop bridge. And then I'll say, can you navigate to the newest focused Figma project? And so this should now do another scan, and then it'll recognize that the College Town design system is now active. Now it has awareness of both projects that are open. So if I wanted to, I can go in here and then ask it, let's go in here and find this card. And then I'll focus on where would a card component be? There we go. Could you now tell me what component I'm focused on? There we go. Could you please give me the description of this component? So now it knows that I'm connected to this component. It actually does have I have a null description in there. I do. Shoot, I'm sorry. Maybe I'll do something different, like, can you tell me a set of variables that this component is using? So this should dig in, and then it should give me just kind of a list of the variables that are in there. Let's see. So it'll run the tools necessary for pulling that data. Sometimes it's got to go through a couple of tools to make sure that it's pulling the right data. There we go. So here's all of the token references that it's pulling. And then I can say something like, can you run a code parity check on the card component from Figma and the card component within this component library, with the canonical source being the Figma design. So I'm just trying to give you a just kind of an illustration of the bi-directional nature of this tool and how it's able to do both read the specs and metadata and all the properties from the card component on the design side. And now, since I'm in the directory of where the coded components are, it can also check against the TypeScript file and everything associated with that side of things. And then I'm saying the canonical source is the card on the design side. So now it's saying that I got an 83 out of 100. I have been messing around with the design side in these demos, so it's not crazy that it is a little off. So what this would mean next is I can say use the GitHub MCP to connect to the GitHub repo to generate an issue for the developer to address some of these things. I can actually just ask it to fix it here if I wanted it to. But I'll stop here because I don't want this video to go too long. But this is the whole kind of soup to nuts process of how to get this set up and ready to go in something like Codex. It works fine. The graphical user interface to set up the piece is kind of nice. I like it. You don't have to forward JSON files like you do with a lot of the other AI MCP clients. But yeah, go ahead and give it a try, and please reach out if you have any questions. Thanks a lot, everybody.